me about your first school and your first teacher.
My first school was All Saints School. It was a little Church of England school, and it was my favourite little primary school ever. And I had lots of wonderful teachers, and I was just very, very happy there. My first teacher was called Mrs. Webster, and she took us for everything, but most importantly, she taught me how to sew.
My first school was a grade school in a small town, so there was really small classes. One of the first teachers I really remember was really great at sitting me down and explaining things in the way that I learned it.
My first school was a tiny school. It had about 60 pupils. It was a very sweet and humble school, and everybody knew everybody because it was a tiny town, and you got to really know the teachers as well, and the learning as well was kind of more one-on-one than bigger schools, which was really good. My first teacher was a lady called Mrs. Buchanan. She was really lovely, and she worked in the reception class for many, many years, and everybody that went to that school really knew her very well.
My first school was in Rome, Italy. It was an international school where I learned both English and Italian. My first teacher was called Miss Carlson. She was a woman from Liverpool who had one blue eye and one brown eye, which is something I'll remember forever. She was very keen on spelling, so every week we would have spelling tests. She cared a lot about her Liverpool FC football club, and I'm an AC Milan supporter, so whenever the finals were on, we would always argue who was the better team.
My first school was in Auckland, which is a city in New Zealand, and it was a small primary school with only a few hundred children. It was right by the beach, and that's why I liked it. We got to go to the beach sometimes after school. My first teacher was called Mr. Norwell, and he was a lovely guy in his 50s, and he used to teach us maths using pebbles that we found outside.